with this too, how to stay effective in this. And today we have one more online subject to talk about. طبعا, today we have the speakers, Professor Abdulla Yusuf Al Hawaj, founding president and chairman of the board of trustees of Ahlia. This is an honor for us to be there. I'm personally, Professor Abdullah for a long time, and that's really an honor. And of course, Professor Mansoor Alaali, he's president of Ahlia University. I had the privilege to be with him sometime. I'm not going to say which year and what. I think we keep it that way. Okay, and what happens, okay? So this is an honor to have you both here. Now we will start with the topic. So let me go to the topics, and at the moment I'll try to, by the way, for people, make sure that if you have any Q&A questions, everything, please leave it to the end. We would like to take it all in one go, and then we ask the question. Now, I think I'll start now, stop my things, and I'll start with this. Of course, I will start with now Professor Abdullah, okay, and by asking him the Ahlia University experience related to the student support, mental health, and well-being during COVID-19. Please go ahead, and if you have any presentation, you can share with us.
First of all, thank you very much for this invitation. And I'm very pleased to be really part of this webinar. And I started by asking why it is technology and business society, not business and technology society. I'm sure there is a reason, of course.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, there is always a reason. And I am very pleased to tell you, that you were very successful, because it's been proved during the last 6 or 7 months how important is technology and how important is ICT in general, And for this reason, Ahlia University was really lucky, and maybe we were really ready when the pandemic came with COVID-19. We did not take a long time. It's only hours till we started to convert our education from face-to-face education to online education. And I don't like to call it distance education, because it's closer than people think, In online education, using really technology can be very close to you, and you could interact. And this is a very important, So we were lucky at Ahlia University, and we are lucky in general in Bahrain, because Bahrain have invested heavily in the infrastructure and in the IT or ICT in general. And this is not, I am saying this, it's the United Nations statistics shows that Bahrain have invested really, and it's really ranked 13th in the world for its infrastructure in ICT. So for this reason, when the pandemic came, many business have not stopped in Bahrain. For example, the e-government have given so many things online. In fact, they started with 4, and now they're over 400 online business. So I'm really happy to tell you Ahlia University were really ready. And the reason why we're ready, we've been using these platforms, where teaching and learning platforms or the learning management systems, whether it's we at Ahlia University, every staff of us must use Moodle for many things with the student, whether it's assignments, assessments. So when the pandemic came, we were ready, and we have used different platforms, whether it's Microsoft Teams or Zoom or the others, So I must tell you that we are learning also, and we were really lucky because our staff were trained. From the beginning, we believed that, and I must tell you a story, you know, where many people used to be thinking differently. From day one, when Ahlia University started, there is one requirement that every single student who enter Ahlia University must take courses in computer science or IT or mathematics, plus the languages, of course, which is Arabic and English language. And I used to have a great opposition from people who are studying arts, for example, business or studying law or studying this. Why do we have to know ICT? Why do we need to know? And I used to say, well, we used to live in the 20th century and now, of course, the 21st century. And the future is artificial intelligence application. So it looks like we were really right. Every single student who enter Ahlia University must take a course and must take few certification, you know. So we give ICDL for every student, whatever the specialization is, and they can go and take the test and take 4 professional certificates really for that. And this is very important. So what I'm saying, I'm trying to make sure that COVID-19 did come and we were really all shocked, the whole world shocked, but we are learning a lot from what happened. One thing which everybody should learn, that we must work together, we must cooperate with each other, we do not compete in everything. And when I'm saying this for all higher education institutes, and I'm saying it for countries also. I'm very upset, you know, when I see countries like the United States of America fighting with China, you know, who started the pandemic or where's the virus come from. I think we should work together and support each other and try to have a solution for and this can only be through education. So we are, as higher education institute, must teach people to cooperate, to work together, and we must make sure that teaching and learning are reaching to the students. It's very important, you know, to know, and we must improve all these to make sure teaching and learning become interactive. You know, I can talk to you, but I must be able to interact with you all the time. So what we're doing now in Ahlia University, we're improving the teaching and learning to make sure we fulfill all the requirements for the output of any single course, which means we must satisfy the ILOs of the course, whether it's the programs, pilos, or the course itself, silos. So all these should be, and we look for them, you know. So it's very, very important. And I tell you that Ahlia University really have succeeded in this. And I'm sure, you know, that we will continue in improving things, of course, because you never know how long this pandemic going to take. And even after the pandemic, would another pandemic come? Would something else will come? So we should learn from the past or from the future. So Ahlia University really learning, and we're trying to make sure everything is used and everything is improved, you know. So we are in a continuous improving, you know. We were not as good last semester as this semester, and I hope we will be better in the future.
Thank you, Professor Abdullah. I think you've elaborated very well on the subject, and I believe Al-Ahliya faced the challenge and did it very well because you were ready. And I really know that from my insight also. Thank you very much, Professor Abdullah. Now I'll go to Professor Mansoor, basically to talk about the Ahlia University experience related to the teaching and learning virtual transformation during the COVID-19. So this is where actually the academic work on that part. Please.
Okay, thank you, my friend Isam. Yes, it's a pleasure to have known you for so many years, and it's also a pleasure to see you again. And I'm also happy to see Muhammad, Dr. Muhammad, whom I have taught in University of Bahrain, and I supervised his PhD at Ahlia University. And that's really a long story. So I'm really happy to meet you. And I'm really happy with all the actions and tasks conducted and taken by BTS, fulfilling its role as, a society serving Bahrain and the Bahraini community at large, and trying to enhance and expand the knowledge to the wider community. So I also appreciate you inviting me and Professor Abdulla Al Hawaj to speak about Ahlia University perspective. If you would allow me, I would share some slides that I have prepared.
Please go ahead.
Can you see the slides?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Ahlia University, first of all, when the pandemic happened, it was a shock to everybody. And the actual first COVID-19 case was in the 21st of February. On the 25th of February, the government of Bahrain decided to stop with the Supreme Committee to stop face-to-face teaching in all schools and universities. Believe it or not, that's what Professor Abdullah is talking about. On the 26th of February, we had all the platforms ready. We had all the technology ready. We trained people. We crash coursed all faculty. We went through full steam. We trained everybody. Within 5 days, we were online teaching using all the technology available. And I have special slides about the technology, I think, in the second session. On the 27th of February, the senior committee at the university met and we proposed further solutions. On the 1st of March, all lectures were shifted online, all, even those which were in Arabic or in humanities. In the 1st of March also, we launched our first web page to educate our students and faculty about COVID-19. On the 16th of March, the senior committee met. On the 22nd of March, we realized we needed a call center. So we established a special call center for students to look after the students, to answer their queries, to alleviate their concerns and worries. 22nd of March, we had the flexible work arrangement for our employees. Those who cannot, they're sick, or nursing mothers or pregnant ladies, they work from home. So we provided with them the platforms when they can work from home, and work did not stop. In order to evaluate what we were doing, on the 21st of March, we completed the first student survey to assess the students' well-being. How are the students coping with this online teaching? What do they feel? We did that and we benefited from it a lot, and we readjusted. On the 1st of February, through discussions with the Higher Education Council, there was a decision students can choose not to take final exams with the grades, but to go for pass-fail options through continuous online assessments. 10th of February, just the students are important. The faculty, our faculty are also very important. We also did a survey to ask about how they felt, the difficulties they have. 19th of February, we conducted a second student survey, a modified survey after the pandemic was more well known, to identify our issues. And on the 21st of April, the university donated $25,000 or 10,000 dinars to this Fina Khair campaign. And that was really a very prompt action from Ahlia University, led by Professor Abdulla Al Hawaj. On 23rd of February, 23rd of April, students of frontline workers, those nurses, doctors, whoever was involved in the front line, their offspring, their children were given 50% discount on fees. That was our community engagement aspect. Then we went on from there. You see, when face-to-face was on, you see, face-to-face teaching has been in existence for hundreds of years. You know, the lecturer comes, he faces students, he has a blackboard or a smart board, he explains to them. That sudden change, especially on our side of the world, and I want to say something here. In the United States, they have a very deep experience of online learning. For over 20 years, they've been conducting online teaching and learning. Harvard University and the University Ahlia is dealing with. Our partners in the US, George Washington University, have also been running online classes. So the first thing we had to do in the management, we did have to do management and monitoring of the whole process of shifting from face-to-face to online. So we had to do issues of cost and planning. On the left-hand side, you will see from face-to-face how we did assessments, how we did the skills, how we delivered the ILOs. We have to reconsider now. We are virtual. How does the student perceive this information, this knowledge? How do you explain a topic? So the assessments here, continuous assessments, incremental assessments, instrumental assessments, meaningful assessments, all had to be considered. The skills which were taught in the lab and face-to-face, now practical skills, analytical skills, research skills, soft skills had to be considered. The issue of making sure all the intended learning outcomes at the course level and at the program level, we had to make sure that when you go online, we satisfy them fully. So if tomorrow quality assurance or accreditation issues come, we are more than confident. On the right side, the right wing of the equation, we have to provide now, before the student environment was in the classroom, it was on campus. We have a new environment. So we developed guidelines for our students, how to stay and study in a calm environment, how to keep them motivated, how to keep their confidence, how to use the tools, what tools, and what support we have to give them in terms of ICT support, counseling support, all kinds of support. Then again, the faculty is another challenge. You know, the tools are with all the technology, as you will see in a moment, some of them are quite challenging. So we had to do a lot of training, and alhamdulillah, thank God, we were very, very successful. I am really so happy to tell you that's how successful we were. Our success and experience, we were asked by the World Technology University Network to present our experience and our experiment to the world, because it's an international organization. And also the QS in the UK, which is an international ranking agency, also asked us to present our experiment and experience. It was really impressive at the world level, not just at local level. So we were really, I'm happy to say, I'm not too proud to say, we were really successful at Ahlia. The faculty, we had to consider the tools, we had to do the training, we had to give them the support, and believe it or not, even faculty need to have the confidence built. To our amazement, you know, we have hundreds of policies at Ahlia. We realized we have to rewrite some of the policies. We have to redraft some of other policies associated with teaching styles, assessments, support, activities, performance, conduct, infrastructure, to name but a few. So it is really a long journey. Alhamdulillah, it's a successful journey. My next slide, as you will see, the issue of stakeholders' well-being. By stakeholders means faculty, students, and all people associated with Ahlia. The commitment of faculty and experience and commitment, the communication with all stakeholders, the support we have to give to students and faculty, measuring the readiness of faculty and students and their acceptance of the e-learning. This was an issue. There was a struggle, an uphill struggle. We had to create that acceptance mode. The experience we are building with our beloved students and the issues of equality, gender, and special needs students all had to be considered. Now there is a new paradigm. It's a new environment, this online, a new situation. So we have to actually do that. The second slide of well-being was issues of counseling for our students, evaluation, continuous evaluation of their satisfaction, issues of assessment, health and safety, and finance. Believe it or not, we had to produce some brochures to talk about health and safety, where they study.
Relation with the student
Okay.
industry.
One of the challenges we had was, if you see in front of you, you will see the number of tools, the number of softwares that students and faculty have to deal with. And choosing from these tools, you will see Moodle, you will see Instagram, you will see Office 365, Facebook, lots and lots of tools. Students and faculty had to tune with them, and they had to be trained. So choosing which tool, technical support through which tool, questions and answers through which tool, all these tools had to be utilized and selected. I know we will talk about this in a moment, and here I want to thank Dr. Isra Al-Dhain for really being involved in this. This is the SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals by the United Nations, and we chose to go in this direction, and we selected a number of these. I think there are 17. We selected a number of these for the Times Higher Education. We chose, this is the UN SDGs. We chose good health and well-being. We chose quality education, and we chose industry, innovation, and infrastructure. These all served us in the COVID-19 pandemic, and that's the whole idea. I'm not going to go through them now. Maybe later, I think you have a question or something about them. I'll go through them in a bit more detail if need be. But this serves the Times Higher Education, and it serves this United Nations SDGs. Again, tuning to online change in technology, issues of infrastructure, choice and impact, issues of legislations and policies, monitoring all that we do, including attendance, monitoring teaching, monitoring well-being, all had to be monitored. And Ahlia has a 5-year strategy. We had a strategy from 2016 to 2020. 2021, we start a new 5-year strategy. So we realized some aspects of our strategy was impacted by the pandemic. So we re-evaluated our situation. And one vital thing, which we hear a lot in the whole world, how businesses were affected, how they were impacted. Some businesses closed, some countries were highly affected, and Ahlia is no exception. So the issue of business continuity and stability was one of our major considerations. This is just to give you a bit of statistics of the second semester last year. How many courses were delivered online? How many lectures were delivered there? 12,315 lectures were given in that semester. You can see all the rest of the numbers. 8,000 logins using Moodle on average per day. 10,700 Microsoft Teams group calls, etc. You can see all these statistics from the second semester. This semester is small because people are more oriented towards online and they are using the technology more. So the statistics are even higher. At the end of the semester, we can give you, just before I close, Ahlia University, as well as what I have told you, our faculty, our professors have been very, very active publishing research about COVID-19 in all its aspects. You can see we conducted also a number of conferences and symposiums and webinars. So I will start with the conferences, symposiums, and seminar webinars. Education and Excellence Sustainability Forums 1 and 2. University Industry Interface using COVID-19. COVID-19 Impact on Interior Design Education. Community Engagement and Social Responsibility during COVID-19. COVID-19 and Economic and Environmental Sustainable Development Goals. Arab Literature in the Time of Crisis. Responsible Business in the Time of Crisis. These are a sample of the activities of webinars, conferences, and symposiums we conducted because of the pandemic. This is a sample, a very, very selected sample of top-level publications that our professors published. The top 3 is an example of 3 publications, an example. The first one is called Machine Learning Improves Knowledge Sharing over E-Learning Platforms to Build Higher Education Students' Social Capital. This was published in Sage. The second one is the impact of COVID-19 on price volatility of crude oil and natural gas, again in 2020. Financial inclusion and risk exposure among different income groups. This is again published recently, all related to COVID-19, as you can see. The last one, COVID-19 and Islamic social finance, is one of 3 books that were published by Ahlia faculty to do with COVID-19. My very last slide, and to conclude, is that our future considerations, we are all the time dynamically revisiting our policies, trying to improve them. We're trying to look at our teaching methods to see how we improve them online by training the faculty more. Our financing and budgeting obviously is under continuous consideration. In the future, the ratio of online compared to face-to-face and the regulations, what's allowed, what's not allowed. The issues of students and faculty well-being is continuous. We have to consider it more and more. The next point is our international collaboration was slightly affected in some way because some of the French, we had about 20 French exchange students from Paris and other places had to leave because of the pandemic. So we have to reconsider how we are approaching international collaboration. And the very last point is the issues and difficulties with, and choices with technology. This is my part of the, thank you very much for listening to me. I hope I did not take too long, but this is my slide. Thank you, Isam. Thank you all.
Thank you very much, Professor. Thank you very much. I think I look at what you talk as basically the agility that you had, the speed, how you were able to with speed provide all that. And I think that's because of the right platform you have already have invested in that made you to happen. So I'm really, really very impressed with what all you talk about it. And the numbers and the date, the boxes you showed me, it was really impressive. And of course, how dynamic you are by changing all the policies. Thank you very much for sharing that. Now I think I'll jump to Professor Abdullah. And I would like to ask you a question about how managing industrial relation and placement during COVID-19 happened. How?
Yeah. Thank you very much again. You know, this is a very, very important question. And it's not easy to answer it also because we are still trying to really make sure we capitalize from all what happened, you know. But the very good news, you know, that we at one time we thought that that's it, interns and people who are going to industry will stop. The good news, it increased. You know, the reason why, you know, you could imagine, you know, sometimes when we want to put an intern in one of the company or one of the banks or in a different this, there is always a problem of space, you know. That problem is solved. We don't need space. We don't need office for them because a lot of it can be done online. And because of the needs of finding things, you know, always we have a very common say, the needs is the mother of invention. احنا نقول بالعربي دائما الحاجة أم الاختراع. Now we must have our interns relation with industry. So that have solved this problem of finding an office for them, but that's led to more things, led to closer collaboration between our academic staff and industry, because we're trying to find an arrangement to make certainly that the students can benefit from what they're doing. We found out that we had to work together. So the relation between the academics and the industry becomes stronger. And we are also learning to improve tools, and we are learning to start working together. يعني I just gave an example few days ago. We had a collaboration with with one very important industry, which is Babco, you know. So we were talking about that, of course. Also, we used to do field visits. Now we are making this virtual. So the field visit became virtual field visits, and we were successful really. And we started learning a lot of things. So it looks like our worries were solved, and it was improved. I always ask our office about the internship. How many students has been accepted for internship this semester? The answer I received a few days ago, do you believe it? We're doing better than in normal times. So I must tell you that the relation between us and the industry became very positive and stronger using ICT and using in general technology. For this reason, I think, you know, we have from the problems of the pandemic, we learned a lot of things, you know, and this is very important to keep, because sometimes you must take from problems advantages, and we made advantages because of one reason. As we said earlier, the investment in the right place is always good. And here now we're thinking also to be more close to industry, because we no longer believe that universities are ivory towers. We are a part of the community, and industry is very important to us. And we can only survive as higher education institutes if we collaborate with industry, we solve the problems of industry. And I think, you know, this pandemic have given us a push to try it stronger or more than before. Now we need to do it. So we need to contact industry. We need to be inventive, you know, and I think we are going the right way. And for this reason, I believe that improving the relation with industry is a result of the needs for it. And we are going to capitalize on that. We're going to make sure that we invest enough in that, because I believe after all that, education is very important, teaching is very important, but learning is more important than teaching, and working and doing things is more important than listening and hearing about things. I always tell my students, you know, if you graduate in mathematics after 3 or 4 months, maybe not years even, what can you remember? Maybe you only remember how to solve the quadratic equations. And if you graduate in business, maybe you will only remember, you know, demands and supply, or supply and demands. But if you do things, you remember everything you've done. You never forget it. So now, because of what happened, or because of the pandemic, and our needs to be closer to industry, so we're converting a lot of our teaching also to practical side, you know. We want to make sure that our graduates are fit for purpose, our graduates are fit for the place they want to be, and we want to make sure also that our relation with the industry is growing, you know. It's a very important that industry start to believe in us. It's not easy. It's very difficult, but we must try. We always say that يقولون مطربة الحي لا تطرب. The singers of the local is not always this, but this is a challenge, and we are up to the challenge, and we will prove, inshallah, that we can be partners with industry. we can be the place for solving their problems and for the critical thinking. And alhamdulillah, this came maybe with the pandemic.
Thank you, Professor Abdullah. I think one thing I've always said, maybe many times, I said that the pandemic sometimes it could be a blessing than not an IT part, because I remember we've been talking about this for more than 10 years to 15 years. Suddenly, pandemic, and 3 months, everything changed. And as you said, even placement in the industries things, because no longer you need to push someone there for office thing, they can do it remotely and they will learn. And I think the learning is the key when you do practice hands-on training. The hands-on training is always number one, then goes with the plus with education. Thank you very much on that. So now I'll move to, again, another one more thing to Professor Mansoor. I would like you to tell more about your experience with the use of ICT, okay, for productive management during COVID-19. I think you talked about something during the last presentation, but a little bit more elaboration on that part. Can you tell us more, please? 1 second, I think you're mute. 1 second. Unmute, please. Unmute. Yes.
Yes, can you hear me now?
Yes, please go ahead. Thank you.
Yes. Obviously, as you have rightly said it, you know, technology is the tool of today. You know, it's become a must. Many years ago, people talked about cottage industry, where people work from home. This has now become a reality. But never in history anybody has thought that virtual learning is possible. Now it is. And really, the tools we have today, the tools we talk about from Microsoft, from Dell, the software, the hardware, the teaching platforms, the apps available, really, they are a bit like the air conditioner, you know, in the summer. You know, if nobody invented them, we'll be in the heat. This invention is really, it's a first time, it's a very first time in history that actually these tools have all been integrated very quickly. So we all talk to each other and we all have meetings. But to do with students, dealing with is a special issue. Because, you know, I'll give you why, and I've got a couple of slides in that. As I said earlier, you know, face-to-face teaching has been the slowest changing thing in the world. Classroom, chairs, a professor talking, a blackboard, a book, a library. We all know that. But now everybody is in their home and speaking. So I've got a couple of slides just to maybe illustrate what Ahlia did to use ICT. Okay, and what did we use? I put a slide before showing the different selections, but now I'll just put this. Can you see it? Can you see this?
Yeah, we can see it.
Yeah, I've got just 2 slides to answer your questions. This is Ahlia teaching, learning, and assessment abstract model right at the top, looking at it from the top. You can see on the right-hand side, you have the faculty and students. The faculty and students all share teaching, learning, and assessment tools and platforms. These platforms, these teaching, assessment, learning tools, they are. Ahlia has actually been using Moodle. Now, other universities are using WebCT, they're using Blackboard, but Moodle is you know, one of the most famous. We use Microsoft Teams for actually the delivery of the classes, Turnitin for checking plagiarism and cheating. We also now have initiated, starting from the previous semester, and we pushed it more courses now are using the Smart Book from McGraw-Hill, which is a new teaching environment, intelligent books being delivered to students. The issue of safe exams and proctoring was also some tools, use of some tools, and another tool called MyU, we put it to the test. These tools, all these tools, actually plug in and use a number of databases, as you can see. These databases use normal database techniques, and there is also we use data mining for predicting and for making decisions, and certain selected AI tools. So that helps us in our decision making. These tools, as I have mentioned, they are part of a learning and management system architecture and network. So there is a whole network at Ahlia combining all these tools together. This LMS architecture network is based on the cloud, a number of servers, firewalls, authentication issues, data synchronization issues, and I'm going to explain that in a moment, and issues of backup. This is the abstract model. If we look at go a bit more detail, but not too much detail, this is again a bit of abstract model, but not very detailed model. If we look at this on the right-hand side, we see the students and faculty. Students and faculty use Ahlia Learning Management System. There, you can see the line. Ahlia Learning and Management System. Ahlia Learning and Management System is based on Moodle. This is Moodle. Moodle will not work properly with the students if we did not integrate it with our student information system. We call it EdReg. The student information system has all information, faculty, exams, advising, project supervision, counseling, everything is on this. There's about 30 different subsystems in EdReg. These are all synchronized with this Ahlia LMS based on Moodle. Now, for a student or a faculty to enter, they're always authenticated by the cloud Office 365. Office 365. So if you go to LMS and we go to Moodle, through Microsoft Teams, Moodle talks to Microsoft Teams, which talks to EdReg, Student Information System. So you see this integration of three technologies, they're all working together. We also have a backup of Big Blue Button, which is on our Azure server. As I said, our McGraw-Hill SmartBook is also linked to our Moodle, and Turnitin is also linked to Moodle, which checks plagiarism. And the Moodle is also can be accessed through our web server, and it can be accessed from anywhere, from a mobile, from the website, from just about anywhere. This gives you an idea of how Ahlia integrated the available tools for the students and faculty to deliver our online teaching platform. This is what I have in brief. Assam.
Thank you very much. I really seen, thanks for giving us showing us the insight of how the design and the platform and the integration of so many tools and complexity that you've added in order to make it work. And I think you've covered from every angle to make sure that you get the right authorization, right thing. So I'm really impressed with that. And using even AI. So, and although I know that's quite very advanced, but it's very good. Thank you very much. I would like to thank you both for the question and presentation, which we just did. But I have a few questions that I would like to ask you, and would like to hear more about things which we find a little more depth into the subject. Okay, so first questions to Professor Abdullah. What is Ahlia University future strategies after COVID-19? And I think you already said some about that, okay? And what practice AU will maintain to sustain that effectiveness? Because it came to you, COVID-19, have affected you, and I think you've changed your asset strategy. So what are you going to do with that? What do you have coming up?
It's really not changing our strategy, you know, but we are, let's say, changing some of the priorities in it, you know.
Okay.
At the end, the strategy never changed, but priorities have changed, you know. And the very important thing, which we really want to make sure that the quality of delivering does not change. We must want to make sure that we have an addition quality rather than the opposite, you know. And for this reason, we must assure the learning process is going well, and that the intended learning outcomes are fulfilled. You know, nowadays teaching is different than the old days. Teaching now, it's monitored in every aspect. So, and it's measured by its outcome learning, you know. So here it's where we must take a very careful when we change things, that these things are measured correctly. For example, you know, we're talking about continuous assessment. Well, what's continuous assessment? How can I really, you know, I have always been, you know, discussing this. When we started Ahlia School, you know, 10 years ago, I was presented with different models. And some of them said, this is the American model, this is the British model, where it's an exam-based, while the other is not an exam-based, you know. And what's the difference between? I've learned something very, very important. What we should do really is a mix. We cannot ignore exams, but we should not rely 100% on tests and exams, because, you know, you study for 4 months in one semester, or sometimes for a year. And then we cannot, you know, decide on 3 hours an exam paper your future. And that's where it comes here, the continuous assessment. And then we have certain, you know, indicators. We must look at these indicators. And that's why we are always talking recently about intended learning outcomes. And I take this opportunity really to thank, you know, Dr. Asra Ba'an, who works in this field in the university, and she became the expert in this field. And so we always ask her, make sure these courses or these programs are fulfilling what we want to do. So for this reason, really, I think, you know, sometimes, you know, hard times is the reason to invent or to do something extra. And if you look in history, you will find that. You will find Germany become one of the best technology at one time. It's during the war. And you will find, you know, America went in its best time during a certain problems. So now, this is the best time for us at universities to learn from what happened and to make sure we can build in it. So we learned a lot from what happened, and we learned that really things should be always looked after, and technology should always be followed. We should not be happy with only instruments also. You know, it's very important to teach people. I always said, we have invested so much, the world, in technology, but have they invested enough in the people using technology, in the users of technology? I still think no. And this is now the time where we should really invest more in training these people. You know, I just give you an idea, you know, you go and buy a TV, the latest TV, and instead of paying 300 dinars, you pay 700 dinars because it has all these different extras. Well, you never use them. We don't even go and read the manual. You know, then why should I think we need to invest in the human being, to invest in the users of technology. And we've learned from this pandemic that some universities, and I'm not going to name any, and some countries, and I'm not going to make any, after 6 months, they could not deliver online teaching properly. And I've heard in the news some countries telling, well, instead of starting in February or March or April or June, they went to October or November, because they have not invested in the human capital. They have not trained their staff. Imagine a university with thousands of students. They found out themselves on this pandemic they cannot deliver because their staff are not trained. Their staff cannot use technology. So I take this opportunity to tell you we learn the importance of technology. And that's why I'm very happy that you started with technology and business rather than business and technology. And that may answer a question at the beginning when I looked to it, because in my head always I go alphabetically, so business and technology rather than, but you of course want what is very important. I think we have learned that, and I think we're going to use that. And after COVID, inshallah, we will go through safely, but we learned a lot, and it's going to be a part of our curriculum, a part of our future, and a part of our strategy. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'll go to the, of course, technology and businesses we created because we believe technology is the platform to every business to sit on it. So that's where it comes from. Okay, so I'll move now to Professor Mansoor. Ahlia University is well known in terms of quality of teaching, as what we just spoke about, and learning. With COVID-19, how Ahlia University quality assurance assured online teaching and learning? I think this is what most of the time is saying, how you assure that quality is right, people are doing as should be. So can you elaborate on that, please?
Yes, thank you. Obviously, I'm very happy to talk about this subject because Ahlia University has successfully and continuously got full confidence in every program. All our programs which were evaluated, quality assured, they received full confidence throughout. This is number one. Number two, also Ahlia got accreditation from the Higher Education Council in Bahrain. So this is another issue. So quality of teaching and quality teaching environment at Ahlia has been right from the beginning, before COVID and after COVID. The question is, how do you maintain the quality which brought us success in the face-to-face teaching environment? How do you maintain it in the online teaching environment? And here, Professor Abdullah referred to Dr. Isra. Dr. Isra is the executive director of Ahlia SACA, which is Center for Quality Assurance and Accreditation. Her and her team and the committee, Teaching, Learning and Assessment Committee, together with the University Council, have developed what we called Ahlia Quality Assurance System, okay, with previous people. However, this was revised, this quality assurance system was revised in the light of COVID-19. How do we make sure classes, lectures are delivered to the full? How do you make sure every lecture covers which aspect of the syllabus? How do we make sure the lecture covers which ILO? How do we make sure that this test or this quiz or this question covers which ILO? How do we make sure that the student, I'll tell you something, when you talk, the recipient never really receives 100%. We've been teaching for many years, we have a classroom of 30 students, you'll find somebody is, before in the old days, maybe talking or maybe falling asleep. Nowadays, you'll find he's got the telephone under the table, fiddling with his or her phone. The question is here, how do we make sure the environment is ready? The lecturers are trained. Our faculty are the best in the world. They're the graduates of the best universities. Their research is published internationally in the best journals. They talk in all conferences. So we have the best faculty, the best lecturers. But how do we make sure the knowledge which the lecturer was used to deliver face-to-face is delivered now online, and we can quality assure that delivery? We can quality assure the exams. How do we make sure the exams are conducted appropriately, that they cover the syllabus, that we are measuring all aspects, that the National Qualification Framework, the NQF, we are meeting it at the right level. So it is not easy. It is not easy. This is first time experience with online. So to make sure the quality is copied 100% from face-to-face to online is a challenge. But but I'm happy to say that Ahlia systematically worked in all aspects of the syllabus, of the delivery mode, monitoring the classrooms, monitoring the lectures. We also found some benefits. You know, it's never all panacea, nor it's always pitfall. You know, there is from every great loss, there is a small gain. The pandemic is a loss, but there is a lot of gain. I'll tell you, for example, now the student, you know, I'll tell you some things which are really, I think it is time for all legislative agencies to reconsider the online teaching. It is a fact. Now it is time maybe to set maybe 50% of courses can be delivered online, especially at the postgraduate level and the senior courses. We've proved it. Now, how we do this, the online teaching, the environment, we've proved it. I showed you the technology, I showed you the platform, I showed you it's all there. But there are also hidden advantages. There are economic advantages. You see, the student from leaving home with his car and petrol and dangers of the road and traffic jams, he is now in the comfort of his or her own home. That's number one. Number two, there is another advantage. All lectures at Ahlia are recorded. All lectures are recorded. So the student, if they miss a lecture, they can go to Teams, listen to it again. Okay? We have now discussion platforms between the students and the faculty. So there are lots of benefits. It's not really vital, maybe for certain purely practical courses, and even that there are simulation now. But like when you train a pilot using a simulator, it's there. Medical doctors are trained through simulation. So it is all there, it is all possible. So to conclude, I will tell you that our quality assurance system before the pandemic has been slightly adjusted, slightly evaluated to quality assure the delivery of our programs after the pandemic. And I'm happy to say we've succeeded. And of course, one of my colleagues, one of our colleagues here, he said something 5-6 years back, and I always quote it. He says, excellence is a moving target. So to us, excellence is here today. We reach here, and then we look at the next level, we try to improve. That's how we function. That's how we work. And we work here. I want to add, this is important to say or plug in, Ahlia has one advantage. It has one serious advantage. As the name implies, we work as a team. We are in harmony. The faculty, the students, the administration, the environment. That harmony is reflected on the students' happiness, is reflected on the students' confidence. We're trying to build confidence in the students, build the harmony, the sense of cooperation. We're trying to build in our students how to serve Bahrain, how to serve their country, how to give to their community. All of this is really are aspects of Ahlia University. So quality management system, quality assuring classes, quality assuring the content is all but a part of a whole package of what Ahlia is. Thank you. That's my answer. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Professor. I think what I like about what you said is that what we did before, how we studied, is totally now gone, obsolete. What happened today with the changes, it's here to stay, it's not to go. So you've actually going to adapt it in the future. So, which I'm really happy about that. I have another question for you, Professor Mansoor. The question here says, ICT was found useful for delivering courses online. But I think the question was always, what about the student privacy? What Ahlia University establishing and to maintain the student privacy? I think this is something we have seen a lot of subject talking about privacy. So how are you maintaining that?
Well, this is a really, it's a $1 million question. Privacy, the moment IT came into action, the moment computer technology came into being, till today, people now are taking Google to the United States Senator for trial. blaming them and accusing them that there is no privacy for anybody. You know, it is a problem. It really is a problem. I'll just move a little bit. Yeah, maybe I can. I'll just move a bit away from the camera. So privacy is a serious issue. Privacy is a serious issue. How do we at Ahlia provide it? I'll tell you how we provide it. First of all, every student has a secure password. He or she logs into their own software and systems. No student can see the other students. The same thing, one faculty, one lecturer sees only their students. No other faculty sees other students. From all aspects, students' information is highly secured. If you are logged in using Teams or Moodle, you know, your information is private. The university has access to the information that is legal. Anything illegal is not recorded. All students' privacy comes in the form of, you know, when you submit an assignment, it's secured. Nobody else can see it except the faculty. There is all kinds of aspects of security. I mean, there is nowadays, you know, there's cyber security. There's all kinds of security available. I don't want to go through the whole concept, but yes, Ahlia cyber security is, or security is safe for students. Student information are private. Faculty information is private. Exams are private and confidential, and it goes all the way. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I think that's an adequate question. I mean, answer to the question. So, because I say privacy is a big thing, and we see the videos, they say how things, even the school learning. The question is for Professor Abdullah. In your opinion, how would you use the ICT to extend the relationship with industry to support the student? And should we sustain this practice after COVID-19? I think this is something you discussed before that.
Of course, I think this is a repeated question. I did talk about the relation with industry.
You, mashallah, took a lot. So, but we're going to focus on that.
Yes, but I always believe that we should be partners with industry, and I think, you know, with the COVID-19, with this pandemic, we became closer to industry, and we have already instructed all the different colleges to make sure our advisory board have members from industry. And this is a must. It became a requirement. And to make sure that we complement industry and that we solve the problem of industry. So I think really, for the last 200 or 300 years, education is the same. I think, you know, in the last 6 months, evolutions and revolutions happened in education. And so also it will happen with the relation between universities or higher education institutes and industry. I think we should work together and complement each other, and we must be involved in solving problems of industry, and using technology, using ICT gave us a lot to fulfill what we think it's necessary. So I think really, very honestly, that, as I said, you know, because there is a need, so we went searching, what do? We managed really to see that we must work together. I'll give you an example. I just said it a few weeks ago, or a few minutes ago, about our relation with Batilco, for example, and our relation with Bobco. You know, now we are going, you know, to them and asking them really to solve their problems. You know, now we have a lot of relation with many establishments, with a lot of insurance companies and banks. And we want to really tell them that Ahlia University or other universities also, I do believe in working together. I do not believe in competitions in the way people think. No, I think we should complement each other. Bahrain is a very small country with so many universities, so we need really to survive. And for this university to survive, they should complement each other and work together. You know, I shouldn't be going to universities in different countries looking for external examiners or for evaluators or for this. So, and also using industry. So I think from the pandemic or COVID-19, we have learned a lot. Professor Mansoor Ali just talked about legislations. I think we need to do a lot of changes. For example, you know, why can't I, as a university, offer certain courses or certificates online for the whole world? You know, now it's become very important. You know, I can give to my student the best lecturer in a certain topic from a different university. He could be from 7,000 or 8,000 miles away, you know. So now let's use these facilities and let's our legislations, our laws permit that. So I think, you know, people must take the advantage of anything happens. Now, since this pandemic happened, now I could have a professor in a university who talks about the subject he loves. It will be always a message reached to my students better than somebody who's going to copy him or use, you know, because sometimes when you teach your own invention or your own making, it's different. You know, I remember, you know, when I used to teach my students mathematics, you know, I always have a few ideas which I made. And up to now, when I see my student after 40 years, they said, Professor, you taught us the 10 of beans and the 10 of tuna fish. Why the tuna fish 10 is this way while the beans is this way? And I remember this is an invention. I did it since I was studying maximas and minimas and, you know, in calculus. So these things are very important. Now, I think legislation should really be very in the front line. We should not wait. We should be able to get the best professors in the world teaching our students, and we should be allowed to teach to the whole world, you know, using online teaching. So I know I went a little out of the subject, but because I did talk about industry relation before, so I'm taking this opportunity and this few minutes to express something's always inside me. I think Bahrain, small country with the limited number, but with a great ambition, and we can achieve many, many things because we want to do it. And Alhamdulillah, we've been supported by the infrastructure, we've been supported, but we need the legislation to support us also. Thank you.
Inshallah. Thank you. Actually, the summer question I'm asking, maybe you have repeated it, but we try to emphasize on the very important points, and that's where we bring it to. Now, the same thing I'll bring to Professor Mansoor is basically, just to emphasize again, you already spoke about it in the slide, but we'd like to, is that we have noticed that Ahlia University is working toward United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. How did the students support the services help to maintain the student well-being throughout the COVID-19? So that's something, one question we have for you.
Thank you, thank you. This is a very, very interesting question, honestly. United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, there are a number of them, but we selected the ones that are appropriate for us that are suitable for Ahlia and suitable for Bahrain, and they help our students. I did talk about issues of students' well-being in all aspects. I'll give you basic examples. You know, a student is studying at home in a noisy room. That's a problem. You know, so we produced maybe a student is studying at home with a very poor or weak internet. This is another issue. Sometimes issues of financing. There is a number of issues to do with student well-being. I'll give you another example. You know, students use the university to make friends, to discuss things. The environment has changed now. They are at home. They're isolated. Before they would also go to, I don't know, Starbucks and meet. They can't even do that. So the issue of students' well-being is very, very serious. You know, their psychology, their well-being, their well-being, now I'm just looking at the cameras. I don't know what's wrong, but it's showing me the, you know, the arched mirrors kind of thing, but what to do? I will speak anyway. So the student well-being is paramount for Ahlia. It really is paramount. It's of vital importance. A happy student is a successful student. Now, the environment at home, we can do little about it, but what we did, we produced guidelines for the student environment at home, guidelines to, you know, make sure this happens, make sure that happens, make sure all kinds of things, health-wise, timing-wise, a number of things. I don't want to go through all of them. Sometimes there are unfortunate situations, you know, like if somebody's internet in the house is disconnected, then we have a problem. Okay, this is why the university gave, for example, a 5% discount. So, you know, to help the student during the pandemic. In terms of UN SDGs, we selected, as I said, 3 or 4 of the most important things to us that are relevant. Okay, the first one was good health and well-being. Now, what does this one cover? What does it cover? It covers this. It covers online student advising from our perspective. It covers it from our perspective. Online student advising and counseling. You see, this is student well-being. Call center to support the students. They come and talk about their problems, whatever they are. And we have a highly qualified set of counselors. We have 3 highly qualified counselors who have masters in psychology and student counseling. One of them is with experience in the US. About conducting student approach outreach programs to maintain student health. For example, we run the bike event. That is to do with good health and well-being. The second SDG was about quality education. What is this to us? What, from our perspective, what does that cover? It covers the following 4 key points. One is sharing knowledge and experience about COVID-19 through virtual webinars. We did a lot of that. We had meetings with the students. So that's one angle of it. The second one was assessments revision to fit with online delivery. You know, matching the assessments with online delivery. All right. The third one is development of protocols for online delivery and attendance. The fourth and last one is programs alignment with UN SDGs requirements and to support independent learning. So how do we look at these 4 factors and how do we work on them to make sure we succeed in that direction? The third SDG that Ali is considering, the third one is number 9, which is to do with industry innovation and infrastructure. Professor Abdullah talked about this, he alluded to it, and we cover 2 key points in this. Extended partnership with industry to conduct internships online. Professor Abdullah mentioned that. Various guest speakers to enrich student knowledge. We're working hard at that. We succeeded bringing a number of them and we'll do more. People from industry with experience with knowledge, who can talk to students and pass the knowledge to them. We used before the pandemic, these are the three key SDGs. Before the pandemic, what Ahlia did was we did field trips. By law, all students must go through field trips. This is to help them with employability skills, with job market understanding. Because now we cannot take students to industry in field trips, 20 or 30 students. So we're trying to arrange that virtually now. Now we are working with a number of companies to facilitate that visit virtually, simulated. Somebody goes through the camera and explains to them. So this is the answer to your question, Isam. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I go now again to Professor Abdullah, and I think it's a question that it's a little bringing back again, but I think just to emphasize more. How did Ahlia University assure equivalent level of learning throughout the COVID-19?
Yes, again, the same question, of course, as I said earlier, the intended learning outcomes is what tells you whether we have done good job or not. So we must measure this ILOs at the end. So we must make sure that the methods of delivery, we must make sure that assessment, we make sure they fulfill the intended learning outcomes given. And this is a very, very important because Professor Mansoor Alaali just talked earlier about the SDGs. And he mentioned the 4 SDGs we have selected, but I must tell you, we selected the quality of education. And I must tell you that we've scored the 3rd in the whole Arab world in numbers of being fulfilling this. The impact in our society is so high in quality of education. And this is very, very important, and the reason for that is because we are making sure that every single course or every single program must fulfill its ILOs, intended learning outcomes, whether it's delivered online or delivered face-to-face or delivered mix. At the end, we must design the proper ways of measuring the onlines. And this is the most important things. So I'm very, very happy to tell you that Ahlia University have scored one of the best score in quality of education, and this is at the United Nations levels. So, and we did very well in the other 3 SDGs, and I hope that we will do also better in the next time, because the Times Higher Education impact factors is always important for us. It's fulfilling what we want to do, and at the same time telling us that we are going the right direction. So na'am, we must assure or ensure that we have the same output, which means the intended learning outcomes are measured properly. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think I've finished my questions. I have quite few questions from the Q&A. I will not read all of them because we have just limited time now to go ahead with it. So I think I have one question which is a little challenging here. It says, do you see the online program? These are the questions of the QA. Do you see the online program as a threat to the local institutions, as people now can take international programs, as what you just said, because they might, go to other online with other universities around the world instead of Al-Ahliya? What do you think about that?
I think it's a very good question. I think really it's a great question. We must know that, and we must work to make sure that that never happens. And this can only be done if we always improve ourselves, and we must make sure that we give the best we can do, and we fulfill the requirement at the end. But it is a very, very, very good question. Yes, it could be, but it could be the opposite also. You know, if we work hard and we believe that we can do it, and let me tell you very, very clear, you know, we're not big heads, but we believe that we are very serious and we want to do the job. And we've learned one thing, and I always tell my colleagues these things. When you do a job, do it perfectly. And we believe in perfection. We believe really in the importance of doing things the way we feel we want to know. So I must tell you, yes, the question is a very, very important question. But I will assure whoever asks this question that this won't happen to Ahlia, but it may happen to other universities. Thank you.
I would just maybe plug in this.
Please, go ahead.
I like the answer, and I think the answer suffices, but I would like to say competition is healthy. We're not scared of competition. It teaches us to be the best. If you're not the best, you know, it doesn't matter, today or tomorrow you'll be out. So this is an opportunity to compete, opportunity to improve, and in competition lies progress. As long as the competition is fair, we are okay. Fair competition is the key word is fair. Fair competition is fair, and we are happy to take the challenge. Thank you.
I think you're right, because you actually could be yourself be competitor to the outside. So other people from outside Bahrain might actually come online using exactly what you said.
Thank you.
Okay, I have another question. It says, first of all, thank you for both, Professor, who did teach me during the old days. Okay, so he's one of your students. He's very happy to see you both, and he thanks you. He said, my question is to both. What is their view of the evolving fintech, and what is the plan for their university to have a solid base, attract fintech companies to come to Bahrain? So they talk about the fintech now. So please, we start with Professor Mansoor.
Okay, thank you. So I haven't seen the photo of our student, but it's always a pleasure to see our students and to hear them raising questions. So thank you for the question, and nice to hear from you again. The issue of fintech and blockchain are really, you know, ICT, fintech, blockchain, GPS, all these kind of technologies that are overtaking our world are advancing humanity. Fintech in particular, Ahlia University, we have submitted a master program about a year and a half or 2 years ago to the Higher Education Council, the Master of Science in Finance Technology, MSc in FinTech. And we are waiting for the response from the HEC. Hopefully, inshallah, soon it will happen and we will run MSc in FinTech. I think we were the very first to submit. Not I think, we surely were the first to submit a master in FinTech. This is on one side. Second thing is our programs, banking, finance, and accounting programs, we have re-engineered them. We have incorporated courses to do with FinTech. That's what we did at Ahlia, because now that's a new kind of technology. And I do know that the government of Bahrain have actually set up a special hub and invested a lot of money trying to make Bahrain the FinTech hub of the region. And inshallah, that is very, very successful. We did visit the FinTech Bay. We talked to them and we got their input or feedback about our master program. That's my answer.
Thank you very much. And I think because the time is running, I will jump to that other question directly to Professor Abdullah. The question is here says, it's one of anonymous, so he's not saying who he is. Say, excellent presentation. Would you think the higher education authority would allow online teaching after COVID-19? Professor Abdullah?
This is a very good question. And I really wanted the answer from anybody. I think, yes, they will probably, allow some of it. I think that will happen because after all, they have seen what happened. And in this part of the world, we are always scared of, having online teaching and online degrees because there is always a problem of, security, but there is a very great examples of online universities which really graduated great students. And there is really in the whole world, and there is in the Arab world. And we have examples really, I don't want to name it, but there is great examples. And I did hear from people responsible.
You have less than a minute, Professor Abdullah, less than a minute.
Yes, I did hear from people from higher education that probably there will be a great part of online courses will be admitted in the future. And because this is the future, there is millions who will not be able to receive a degree. If in the world, I'm talking, especially in the poor areas, if that's not allowed. And I think we're a part of this world, and I'm sure things will happen that way. Yes.
Thank you very much. We were at the end of the moment. Thank you very much. Professor Abdullah, I really, I don't know how much to thank you about today, how you have added the value to things, and we are very, very glad to see you here. Professor Mansoor, I cannot say more than that the whole team back, every one of them, the whole society, and with the president of the society, the chairman, Al-Helu, okay, Mish Al-Helu, and everyone else, they all say the whole society, they are your student, whether it was for in the University of Bahrain or whether it's Ahlia. They're all your student and they're all proud to be your student. By the way, everyone to know, I'm his student too, okay? And one time I was a student, and he actually at that time, I remember still, at 89, he said to me in 89, I would like you to work with me on a project in AI. I said, my God, AI, remember that? I ran away. By the way, both had big hairs, but we no longer have that. Thank you very much for both of you. It was really, really great for me to be here with you both. It's an honor for me, and the whole society are really encouraged and to know what is exactly the added value. They all, have the gratitude to you for that. And some of them really said TBS, and the reason is why, because technology and business and technology is the foundation for every business to work on, and that's where the hope for future was. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Thank you very much. Was really having you very well. And I have to say now goodbye to everyone. And thanks for every attendee, everyone participated in this. Thank you very much for being with us. And by the way, this is not the last one. We have many of these events like these going to come soon. Please be engaged with us. Look at the events coming. And I would like to see you all. And thank you very much. Ma'as salam.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.